Welcome to The Debrief, where we talk with the Washington Examiner's top journalists about the headlines they're covering this week and where the story's going next. Sarah Westwood, and I'm here today with Editor-in-Chief Hugo Gurdon. And Hugo, you wrote in a column this week about the withdrawal of top-tier universities like Harvard from college rankings and what that says about the future of meritocracy in higher education. Explain that connection.
Yes, the latest establishment to withdraw is the Harvard Medical School, but this follows Yale Law School, Harvard Law School, and a dozen or so other top schools withdrawing from the rankings done by U.S. News and World Report. And it isn't because the lamentable thing is not that this is a wonderful ranking system or that there were no faults with it. In fact, these ranking systems actually do provide perverse incentives for people to game the system in order to get high rankings, and there are sort of oddities about the criteria. And it's a little bit like, perverse incentives in the tax system prompting people to spend more of their time avoiding the taxes than to do something productive. Education is the primary focus, or should be the primary focus, so there is something wrong with these ranking systems. The lamentable thing, however, is that this is another institution dissociating itself from a system which is intended to provide a sort of third-party objective assessment of quality. There is a movement in education in America right now, which is of people downgrading actual achievement and effort put into those to achieve those high standards, and adopting much vaguer criteria behind which, unfortunately, the prejudices and agenda of a vastly left-wing educational establishment can play out.
And this is related, as you mentioned in your column, to another scandal brewing kind of below the radar in Virginia related to sort of the suppression of meritocracy in the public schools. Tell us about that.
Yes, it isn't just universities. It was revealed rather explosively recently that a number of schools in Virginia, including one which was for many years ranked as perhaps the best high school in America, had deliberately decided to keep students ignorant of the fact that they had been gotten national merit commendations. Now, some schools said this was inadvertent human error, but unfortunately that was falsified by at least one other school saying that they did it deliberately, and the idea was they weren't going to tell people who had won awards in case it hurt the feelings of the people who had not won awards. Once again, it is people in the educational establishment deciding it is better to avoid celebrating or emphasizing high achievement and hard work, and in order to spare the feelings of those who don't do so well. And of course, if you don't reward hard work, if you don't reward high achievement, there's much less incentive to try and do those things. So it generally produces a broad lowering of standards.
It's trying to equalize
downwards, not upwards.
Yeah. That's right. I have to ask you about the Biden documents case.
Yeah, sure.
Because it has sort of blotted out the sun in the news this week. What do you make of how the Biden White House has handled this so far, and do you think strategically there's anything that the president can do to sort of regain his credibility here, or is he boxed in now?
I don't know. I think that the handling of it has been pretty standard for the White House, which is the president did nothing wrong, and there's an absolute difference between this and the way that Donald Trump handled documents. But I don't think that they're going to be able to get rid of this at any point between now and the next election. There may be some differences between the way in which Donald Trump responded to revelations that he had documents which he should not have had, and the way Biden did, characteristic of the difference between the two men in the way that they handle things. But the similarities are at least as great, and President Biden went out on a limb saying, how could anybody do such a thing when he was responding to the revelations about Trump? And here he is with his own documents, at this think tank that had his name in his garage in Delaware, in the house in Delaware. And of course, at the time that in Delaware, his son Hunter, who had all sorts of dubious connections with overseas intelligence, including in China, had access to the garage and to the house. So there are obvious questions that arise, and I don't think that President Biden is going to be able to get rid of them before the next election. And I think that whoever opposes him, whether it be in a primary in the Democratic Party or in the general against Republican, will use this as much as they can.
Well, Hugo, thank you so much for being here today. You can get more reporting from Hugo and the rest of the commentary team at washingtonexaminer.com.